Today we are going to learn the next topic of rotational motion, and that is angular momentum, right? So every time I have explained to you about rotational motion or various topics of rotational motion, I had always considered the linear motion, and from that reference we have learned various aspects of rotational motion. Okay, so now up till now you had seen what is the moment of inertia, you had seen what is rotational motion, you have seen the rolling motion, you have seen the accelerated motion, radius of gyration, you know. Now here we are going to talk about angular momentum. Like all the terms that we had done in linear motion should have some description or have some position in rotational motion. Like we had converted mass into as moment of inertia in rotational motion. Velocity was converted into omega, that is angular velocity. Linear acceleration was converted into alpha, that is angular acceleration. So every term in linear motion we had a corresponding term in rotational motion. So coming back again, because while doing rotational motion, it does not mean that we need not to do anything about linear motion, yet those problems also you need to solve. So again, every time, like I have said, that when I am explaining this, let us see the equations of linear motion. In the linear motion, what are the equations that we had seen in the momentum when we were discussing about linear motion? We had when a body is moving with a linear velocity, that is a constant velocity, it does not have any acceleration. It does not have any acceleration. It gains only momentum. So when a body is moving with a linear velocity v of mass m, what we say, it has gained a momentum, and that momentum is given as p equal to m into v. You remember this first part that we had done about momentum. So momentum is a term which is a product of mass into velocity. Force is a term which is a product of mass into acceleration. So here now we are discussing about momentum. And when there is a change of momentum, what will happen? When a body is moving with a constant velocity v having mass m, right, we say that it is having a momentum mv. And when the momentum changes, right, a change of momentum was given as, the word was given as impulse. So impulse was given as dp, change of momentum. In terms of calculus, we call it as dp, or we would say that mv2 minus mv1, right? Here we are considering that mass is not changing, velocity is changing from v1 to v2. Velocity is not constant, so there is, velocity has changed from v1 to v2, so therefore there is a final momentum and there is an initial momentum. This is the final momentum and this is the initial momentum. So change of momentum is called as impulse. That when I am hitting something, we call that as one impulse. It is not force. Impulse means only change of momentum. So this change of momentum, we describe it as impulse, which is given as dp. So the mass is constant, we can also write down m into v2 minus v1. Again here, it is not necessary that mass always has to remain constant. There are certain situations where velocity remains constant but the mass changes. That is also called as impulse or change of momentum. Change of momentum is not necessarily every time only change of velocity. Many a times velocity is constant and the mass keeps on changing. For example, flow of water falling in a bucket. So what is happening in the bucket? The velocity at which the water is falling down is fixed, correct? But what is changing? The mass of water getting accumulated. So in that case, the velocity is fixed but the mass is increasing. So the falling of water in a bucket is also creating an impulse on that bucket, and that impulse is which kind of an impulse it is? It is an impulse of change of mass with a constant velocity, right? So here mostly whenever a body goes, the mass remains constant. So the examples of this change of momentum with mass remaining constant and velocity changing is much more than mass changing and velocity remaining constant. ओके, लक्षात आले का तुमच्या हे? ओके, सो ह्याला आपण इम्पल्स म्हणून म्हणतो ह्याला, दॅट इज ओनली चेंज ऑफ मोमेंटम. अँड इफ आय डू इम्पल्स upon time t was force, or we would say, or force was equal to change of momentum upon time was also known as force. Right? If you remember, we had done all these things. So change of momentum, which we used to write it as dp upon dt in terms of calculus was equal to force, or in terms of average change of momentum, that is final minus initial is always the concept of final change of the average change of momentum. This is a calculus method of finding the momentum dp by dt to get that instantaneous. But otherwise, if I have to go for an average value, then I will be using what? M into v2 minus v1 upon time t. Whenever we use the equation average acceleration, we have v minus u upon t is acceleration. This acceleration is always an average acceleration because we have only two velocities, final and initial, and we divide it by time. So in between the velocity, how it has changed, that is not described in this equation. That is why all these equations are for average accelerations, like that is v minus u upon t equal to a. Whereas for instantaneous or the calculus method is always written as acceleration is dv by dt. Okay, so these two things we know, we have been using this simultaneously. So this is dp by dt equal to f and m v2 minus v1. So ultimately v2 minus v1 upon t was acceleration, so force is mass into acceleration. So this was also one of the equations that we had seen, that force is equal to mass into acceleration. So if you look at these equations of linear motion, right, so we need to have equivalent what we say equations for rotational motions. We should have equivalent equations for rotational motions. Now what will be the equivalent equations for rotational motion? For momentum, it is replaced, the p is replaced by the word L. Now here what kind of momentum we are talking about? Angular momentum. So now we are giving birth and introducing a new terminology which is known as angular momentum. Angular momentum. And what is this angular momentum? L. If linear momentum p is m into v, angular momentum is m is replaced by I into omega. I into omega. Now here we should understand that angular momentum is also a vector because omega is a vector. Is I a vector? Moment of inertia, is it a vector? It is a tensor. Tensor, if you remember, we had done, when we had done the first chapter about units and measurements, or sorry, about vectors, I had explained to you there are certain entities which are tensors, which are neither a vector nor a scalar. What type of entities they are? Like current. There is always a clockwise direction, anti-clockwise direction. So we never say there was a flow of current at an angle 30 from a wire. We never say that way. So either there is clockwise and anti-clockwise. It has only two directions. Similarly, moment of inertia also is a tensor. It does not have, we never say moment of inertia at an angle 30. All those moment of inertia that we did we ever mention anything about the angle? No. Angle could be a geometry of particles. To calculate the distance, we can use the trigonometry or the angle, but moment of inertia is not angle sensitive. So I is not, we can consider it as a scalar. So here we have only omega, and that is our vector, and therefore L also inherits the same properties, vector properties of omega. Okay. Now angular momentum, as you can see, that if we have rotational motion, okay, that is a body at a radius r moving with a velocity v. This is the linear velocity of this mass m. This is the linear velocity of this mass m. Now this m is a concentrated mass, and this is your axis of rotation. This is your axis of rotation, this is omega. So we know this omega is always in this direction. This is the direction of vector omega, perpendicular to the plane of rotation. Mind you, the vector omega is perpendicular to the plane of rotation or revolution. Revolution if it is a concentrated mass. So therefore L is also a vector which is perpendicular in the same direction of omega. So the angular momentum is also a vector which is perpendicular to the plane in which any rotation takes place. Now this L has got lot of importance. This L has got lot of importance in terms of your what we can say is the property of a rotating body. This is the L, that is the direction of the angular moment, and the value of that L, the length of that vector decides the magnitude of L, and the direction, both of them play a very important role in rotation of any body. A very important role means subsequently as I start explaining to you, you will understand, or I will try to explain to you the role of angular momentum. You need not to worry much about that as far as your syllabus and your understanding is concerned, but try to understand. I will show you certain videos in which you will understand the importance of angular momentum. Only as a part of knowledge you should know how angular momentum and that vector is very important in certain phenomena of rotation which are really very fantastic. One of the important aspect which I can a practical which I can explain to you, which all of you must have played in your house. You are from the generation of Beyblades, right? So all of you must have played Beyblades in your house. I believe you may be having some broken Beyblades somewhere kept in your toy box. So while doing that Beyblade, you must have realized once that particular top or that Beyblade gets a rotational motion, it maintains its axis. And even slightly, if you are taking it in a tray, even if you incline the tray, it always will maintain that axis. You must have observed all these things. Now that maintaining of that axis, that was the direction of angular momentum obtained by the rotation of that Beyblade. Okay. So how much ever you tilt that, the axis would try to come to that particular same position. There is an instrument which is called as a gyroscope. Right? A gyroscope is something which maintains an axis, okay, of a rotating body. If the body is not rotating, that axis is not maintained. Certain videos, like I said, I will show you, in which the scientist, the physicist is demonstrating that if a rotating wheel is kept vertically, the axis is kept horizontally, and only one side of that wheel is attached to a rope, the wheel remains in that perpendicular position. It will not fall down, though it is having a lot of weight. Why it does not fall down? Because it generates an vector called as an angular momentum vector, and that vector has to be respected. If you try to change the vector, it will self-align and maintain its axis. That is what happens in the Beyblade. So when a Beyblade, when you give that a torque and when it starts rotating at a fixed angular velocity, angular momentum vector is developed. Now you cannot change the direction of the angular momentum because you have only given it a torque and created that vector. Once that vector is created, that vector position will be maintained. The value of L will depend upon omega, because as the speed of Beyblade reduces, that scalar value of L will keep on reducing. And so therefore, its inability to maintain position also decreases, because afterwards it starts wobbling and later on the axis changes, it falls down. But when the speed is very high, it is very rigid and it maintains a perfect straight axis. You can again try it, or I am sure you remember from your whatever you had played with Beyblades up till now, that how it maintains that axis. So that is the example which I always wanted to give you. Okay. So here we have given birth to an important concept, which is an angular momentum L perpendicular to the plane of rotation. It is in the same direction of omega, and it is given as L equal to I into omega. L is given as I into omega. Now let us try to see the further derivations and the magnitude of L. So if I look into it as a magnitude, I have to substitute I for a concentrated mass M. I will be what? M into R square, right, into omega, right? M into R square into omega. Now this mass is having a linear velocity which is tangential velocity. No? Whenever a rotation takes place, as we know, V is the tangential velocity of that mass at that radius R. So this velocity V is given as M into R square into V upon R, because V is equal to R omega. We know V is equal to R omega, so omega will be, so 1 R, this will get cancelled, so it is M R into V, or I can write it as R into mv. Now what is mv? Mv is nothing but linear momentum. What is mv? It's a linear momentum of the particle performing rotational motion, and so it can also be given as R into P. So angular momentum is R into P. See all these conversions, how they are taking place with the help of R in between. V is equal to R omega, A equal to R alpha, L equal to R into P. P is the linear momentum. These methods will help you to recall all these equations without minimum efforts. If you understand this logic, how the rotational equations of linear motions are getting converted into rotational motions. Is it clear? Are you understanding? Right? So this is the equation point of view that we are trying to understand this, and how to get these equations based on the linear movement equation. So these are the simple derivations that, as you see, in which we are defining angular momentum. So angular momentum is nothing but linear momentum into the distance r. Very important aspect which you have to understand is that it is the linear momentum into the perpendicular distance to the mass. An extension of that is, it is, of course, r is perpendicular to this. So here it does not, it definitely makes sense, because r is always perpendicular to v, and so therefore here it is by default it is going to be perpendicular. But otherwise, in some other examples, when we will be learning, or when we will be looking at those examples, you will have to see that the r, the distance from the axis of rotation, it should be perpendicular to the linear velocity whose angular momentum we are trying to record. क्लिअर? आलं लक्षात तुमच्या हे? तर आता आपण ह्याच्यातनं दुसऱ्या गोष्टी आता आपण बघूया, की आपण अँग्युलर मोमेंटम दॅट वॉज समथिंग विच वॉज इक्विव्हलंट टू पी, आपण त्याचं हे इक्वेशन आता इथे लिहिलं. नेक्स्ट इक्वेशन वी आर गोइंग टू हॅव इज अबाउट द इम्पल्स. दिस वॉज अवर फर्स्ट इक्वेशन, दिस वॉज अवर सेकंड इक्वेशन, third equation was about force. So one by one, let us see how these equations will be represented in the rotational motion. So impulse will be what? It will be angular impulse. So angular impulse will be, if impulse is equal to change of linear momentum, so angular impulse will be change of angular momentum, that is dl upon dt, or in terms of average value, it is going to be change of momentum, that is L2 minus L1 upon time t. It's an average sorry, it will not be upon time t, it is just change of, I'm very sorry, just change of angular momentum is angular impulse. Okay, that will be L2 minus L1, like it is P2 minus P1, so it will be L2 minus L1. Now here it can be represented as omega 2 I2 minus omega 1 I1. In rotational motion, like in linear motion, normally mass remains constant, but in rotational motion it will not be the same, because a body which is moving in a rotational motion, though the mass of that body remains the same, but the radius can change, and the moment the radius change, mi will change. So therefore the moment of inertia will change, not necessary. If the mass and radius is not changing, then I will not change. So let us keep your mind open that nothing is rigid. When we change, say about change of angular momentum, omega will also change, or omega can remain constant and I can change, or I can remain constant and omega can change, or both of them can change. So that is why we write it as omega 2 I2 minus omega 1 I1, because it can be any of these combinations that can come in any situations. Okay. Now this change of angular momentum, that is L2 minus L1 upon time t. What was impulse upon time t? Was force. So change of angular momentum upon time t will be what? Torque. It will be torque. See how the relations keep on changing. Here change of momentum upon time t was force, and here change of angular momentum upon time t is torque, not force. In rotational motion we don't have force. Force is replaced by torque. So if a body is already moving with a constant velocity, if I apply a torque, there will be change of momentum. See, the momentum has changed. In the momentum, the initial angular velocity and the final angular velocity, my finger is giving an extra torque, and so the angular velocity keeps on increasing, right? So change of momentum is the torque that is applied to a body. Now this torque could be in two ways. One, a torque I had given on the to tangent of that particular rotating body. Another torque I can give to the axis. So if I want to give or increase the rotation motion, I can give a torque on the axis of this, by which this will the wheel will start having an increased angular velocity. The angular velocity will keep on increasing if I give a torque to the axis. Normally rotational motion, torque could be given at the rim or the edge of that, or it could be passed through the torque, that is through the axis also I can give it a torque and make it rotating with the angular acceleration. Like in a linear motion, when we give force, definitely every time it leads to acceleration. So in rotational motion, whenever we give a torque, it will always have angular acceleration. It will never happen that you are applying a torque and it is still moving with the angular velocity. It will, but only in certain situations where the frictional force or the torque due to the friction is equal to the torque applied. In such a case, the vehicle will start moving only with the wheel will start moving with a constant velocity. But normally otherwise, for any torque given, the body will always rotate in angular acceleration. Clear? So these are the things which every time you should keep on understanding and talk to yourself, because this is the torque which is going to give us the relation, and this relation will be change of momentum upon time t. Okay. So in terms of calculus, you can always write down that torque T is equal to dl by dt. This equation was an average equation of torque, but this is an instantaneous equation of torque. So if there is some relation given to you that L is equal to 3t square plus 3t plus 1, So what is the torque that can be applied at time t equal to 3 seconds? At time t equal to 3 seconds, what will be the torque, the momentum and the time t relation is given to you, right? The momentum of a body is dependent on time t with this relation. Then you are going to differentiate this by dl by dt, then you will get the torque time. The relation of torque and time you will get. Then dl by dt will give you what? dl by dt will give you what? 3 2s are 60 plus 3, that is the relation of torque with time t. Now if they ask you what will be the torque after 2 seconds, then you will replace t by 2 seconds and find the value of torque. If they will ask you what is the momentum at after 2 seconds, then you will replace here 2 and find the value of momentum at 2 seconds. So these relations gives you what? Dependency of this L on time t and torque and time t. And to get this, if you differentiate L with time t, you will get torque, because this is the calculus equation of torque t, right? So ultimately what we are trying to understand, that as the disk rotates and there is a change of angular momentum, and if we measure the change of angular momentum in that time duration, we can calculate how much torque must have gone to change that situation. Okay, fine. So we have understood the new term, that is angular momentum L, which is analogous to the linear momentum P, which was equal to m into v, whereas angular momentum is given as I omega. Okay, so all the equations which we had used for linear momentum will be applicable for rotational motion also. In that we had impulse, we have angular impulse, we had force which was given as change of momentum upon time t. So we have torque here, which will be change of angular momentum upon time t. The equation wise things are very easy and you are able to imagine, but when it comes in the problems, when they give it to you in the form of a situation, you should know what this situation is, whether this situation is about a torque, whether it is about an impulse, whether it is about an angular momentum, right? And then the equations are not difficult. I don't think that you will have to by heart all these equations as a formula. So they come very logically, and the way I have given you the analogy, I don't think it should be difficult for you to recall these equations when you are in the battlefield. Battlefield means when you are solving these problems. So all this preparation we are doing for you to go into the battlefield. IIT, cracking IIT, CET, JEE Mains, NEET is like going into a battlefield, and your arms and ammunitions are the practice that you would be doing throughout all these 2 years, correct? Because there you don't have any other aids, like maybe a calculator or reference, or just when you peep into some equations and try to see. So you are all on your own. Okay, so you have to have methods of recalling equations, right? So that should not take your time while solving these exams. It should be as easy as the equations that you have been, rhyming, and you have been learning all these equations like v square is equal to u square plus 2s and s equal to ut plus half at square. All these equations, see how you know them by heart, right? So all these equations you should be knowing. You should not spend time in recalling this equation once you are in that battlefield. Okay, so here we have described this, and you have understood now what is the meaning of torque from the change of angular momentum. Please make a note of this so that we can go to the next topic. Now that we have understood what is an angular momentum, there is one more important aspect that I need to explain to you about angular momentum. That आपण जेव्हा एखादी बॉडी म्हणतो की mass m having a velocity v and radius r, right? So the angular momentum is perpendicular to the plane of rotation. Now this is a concentrated mass, but it could be also a disk. It could be a disk which is rotating at omega, and the disk will be having a mass m and a radius r. So this is about a disk, and that is about a concentrated mass which is revolving around a particular axis around the center of on the plane of this particular board. So we have in both the cases angular momentum will be equal to I omega. Angular momentum is going to be I omega in both the situations. So here we have L equal to I omega, and here also L equal to I omega. So both this I omega, L equal to I omega, what is going to change? Both of them are revolving and rotating at angular velocity omega. Both of them are revolving and rotating at an angular velocity omega. Both of them are having the radius r, but what is going to be different is the moment of inertia. This is going to be I1 and this is going to be I2. Now here I1 equal to mr square, and for a disk I2 equal to 1/2 mr square. So depending upon the type of body, the angular momentum will take its own value, and what is going to be different is the moment of inertia. For a sphere, moment of inertia is going to be different. For a disk, it is going to be different. For a ring, it is going to be different, and you have all those moment of inertia of all the rotating body. We can have an angular momentum of a square also, of a rod also. A shape is immaterial. Angular momentum can be achieved, or you can have angular momentum of any shape of body and in any moment, any arrangement of axis of rotation, correct? So it is not necessary, it is only will rotate at the axis. Whenever any body is having a linear velocity with respect to some axis, angular momentum will be generated, right? Let us see one more example of angular momentum, then what I am telling you will become very clear. If this body is even rotating from this axis, it's still going to have angular momentum, right? Now this is a road, right, and there is a car which is moving at a velocity v, and there is an observer standing over here. The observer is at a distance r from that particular car. Now this car has been, initially it was over here, after some time it has come to this position. So this was position A, this was position B, and this was position C. In all the case, it was having a fixed velocity v, right? The car is moving with a fixed velocity v. Now here, when an object is moving with a linear velocity, right, and this is the position of the man who is standing over here, can we say that the body is having an angular momentum? It's moving with a linear velocity, the velocity is constant, right? Of course, it will have an angular momentum, like I said, like suppose if it is having a mass m, and m, what is the angular linear momentum? P will be equal to m into v. So this car is moving with a momentum m into v. That is the mass of that car, and v is the velocity. So the linear momentum is mv. Now when we talk about angular momentum, even a car which is moving with a linear velocity will have an angular momentum, but a question has to be asked, around which point? It will have an angular momentum around which point, because for angular momentum some axis or some point is very necessary to be defined. Around that point angular momentum will be developed. Now here you will see this car around this body is having an angular momentum which will be mv into r. R is the perpendicular distance between the car and the body. So it does have an angular momentum around point O. What is important? That this car is having an angular momentum mv into r about the axis O, that is the person that is standing over here. At this particular point it will be different, at this particular point it will be different. Right now we are talking about angular momentum around point O. Are you getting this? Is it clear? Right? So around this point O, the car which is moving with the velocity v is having an angular momentum, and which is given as mv into r. We know that angular momentum is what? Linear momentum into the perpendicular distance. Now a second question, here it is at a distance r, here it is at a distance r1, here it is at a distance, the car has at a distance r2. So here this would be mv into r is the angular momentum around point O, which is at a distance r, into the linear momentum, that is m into v. Clear? Now you have to tell me what will be the angular momentum at this position and what will be the angular momentum at this position. Normally students will say it is mass has changed, v has changed into r1, L3 will be mass has remained, velocity has remained same, but the distance has increased, so it will be r2, right? But it is not the case, because if you remember over here, I had mentioned to you that it is angular momentum is linear momentum into the perpendicular distance, not just the distance of the mass from the axis, the perpendicular distance. So when the body is at this moment, at this position, the perpendicular distance is r. When this body is at this distance, the perpendicular distance is r. So in all the cases, how much ever far that vehicle must have gone, right? Very far, but still the angular momentum will be the same. Remember this thing, because in the problems while solving, you will be using this as an important tool, because students make mistake over here, and if the car has gone very far, they feel there must be some change of angular momentum. Angular momentum has not changed because the perpendicular distance has remained constant. Correct? So this is slightly different from a circular motion where the radius r is constant throughout the whole circle, but it is also the r is also the perpendicular distance everywhere. That has not changed. Here the situation is a bit different, but still in this situation also there is angular momentum available, and that angular momentum will be the perpendicular distance. This is what you have to understand, one thing, because it's a vector product. Okay, so if you have understood this concept clearly, please note down this concept about angular momentum of an object around an axis O, in which the object is moving constantly with a linear velocity. And here this is an object which is constantly moving in a circular motion, so the distance r from the axis of rotation is fixed. Here the actual distance is not fixed, it keeps on changing, but the perpendicular distance is fixed, and what we have to consider is always the perpendicular distance, and therefore the angular momentum will not change how much ever far this vehicle would have gone from the perpendicular position. Well, now let us see in the next equation about linear motion, and then we will see the angular momentum part of that. Now we are going to study conservation of angular momentum. Why we have to study this conservation of angular momentum? Because we had studied conservation of linear momentum. So all of you remember conservation of linear momentum. So many we had done problems about conservation of linear momentum, that a mass m, two masses m, m1 and m2, moving with a velocity u1 and u2 after collision, right? They start moving with a velocity v1 and v2, and then we used to write this equation that m1 u1 plus m2 u2 was equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So the momentum before collision, and this is the momentum after collision or some change of event that has taken place with both the masses, right? So here a mass m, the momentum before collision and momentum after collision is conserved, and that is called as conservation of linear momentum. Whenever we talk about conservation, which means something before and after, if it remains same, we say that it is conserved. If a mass comes and hits me and it goes away, bounces back, one thing is sure, that the mass is conserved. There is no change in the mass. If the velocity changes, then momentum will change, mass into velocity. So we say the momentum is not conserved. I mean, there will be a change in that, because an external force maybe is acting on that. But if the momentum of the initial stage and the momentum after collision or after change of that situation, if it remains same, we say that the momentum is conserved. This collision were of two types, one was elastic and one was non-elastic, inelastic. In both the cases, momentum is always conserved. In inelastic, what is not conserved is kinetic energy. It's only a small revision, we have already done that. Why kinetic energy is not conserved? Because the initial kinetic energy after collision, some part of the kinetic energy can be converted into the deformation of the body, can be converted into heat, can be converted into some other parameters. So all that energy before collision does not get converted into pure kinetic energy after collision. That is in inelastic. In elastic collision, all that energy which both the bodies were having before collision will be the same energy they will be having after the collision. Okay. So in inelastic collision, if you remember, we had an parameter which was E, that is coefficient of restitution. That was one parameter which was an equation which we had used, that E was equal to the difference of approach velocity upon the velocity of separation, right? So similarly, what we had studied about conservation on linear momentum, we are going to see the conservation of angular momentum, because both of them are brothers, like twin brothers. If there is a conservation of linear momentum, there has to be a conservation of angular momentum. Both of situations are the same. As I said, there is always an analogy between the linear and the angular part. Okay, so only the difference is the physical situation changes, that you should know that you are applying this situation and you are going to make use of the equation of angular momentum. Then the equations are simple, but you should know this is the situation of conservation of angular momentum, right? Because linear situations are easy to imagine and to understand, but the situations of rotational motions are slightly a bit difficult to understand. Yes, this is the same situation, so I have to apply the same formula, right? So that can, of course, by having lot of practice, you will be very will be expert in applying those equations for all the situations that we will be going through. Now, if I am having a conservation of momentum, now this was a conservation of momentum about two bodies, but it is not necessarily, that in about that the conservation has to be done only with two bodies. I can have the conservation of momentum even with a single body. I have a ball which I throw on a wall and it bounces back, so it will be having m1 into u1, that is the initial momentum, right? And after the collision, it will have, depending upon the collision, it will have another what we call as a change of momentum, which will become m1 into say v1, but with the change of direction it can become minus, because after hitting on the wall the velocity is going to change, so it is going to have a change of direction. So even with a single body also we can have the equation of conservation of momentum. Not necessarily you should have two or more bodies to apply the equations of conservation of momentum. What this equation says, that whatever momentum that body had, right, after collision or after that particular impact, it says that the momentum is always conserved, does not change. Okay, but of course, as I've said, you have to pay attention to your the signs, otherwise u1 will be equal to v1, okay, which is not the case, so it will get cancelled out. And then velocities, it shows that whenever the ball bounces, the velocity never changes. It's not that way. Okay, so coming back to this equation, that is conservation of angular momentum. So how are we going to write down the equation for conservation of angular momentum? It's going to be as easy as that, that you have I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2 will be equal to I3 omega 3 plus I4 omega 4. Now here you must have realized that I have changed that I1, I2, I have not kept it here as I1 and I2, because unlike in linear motion, in a rotational motion, the moment of inertia can change, though the mass is not changing, but if the radius changes, the inertia will change, and so therefore there are quite a possibility that I3 and I4 will be different. Right? Here the possibility is very rare that the masses will change after collision. Possibility is rare, I said, not impossible. Why rare? Because when we are talking about an explosion of a bomb, right, the masses change. Initially it had a mass m, after the explosion into 2 or 3 fragments, it will become m1, m2 and m3. Right? So it is not hard and fast rule that every time it will remain the same, but otherwise when we are talking about collision of two objects, after the collision, why should the masses change? The velocities will change, the direction will change, the shape will change, but the mass does not change in the linear momentum. But here in the conservation of angular momentum, we have it is about the rotation of a body. A body is rotating, now it will collide. What is that collision in angular momentum? I will explain to you, because it is not in linear momentum. Collision is very simple. I can show two balls coming together and they are colliding, or both of them are following and collision takes place and then they go into separation. But in rotational motion, what is that you will just see. But right now in terms of equation, you can consider this as I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2 is equal to I3 into omega 3. This is the equation for conservation of angular momentum. Now, like here, as I have said, that not necessarily when I am teaching you conservation of angular momentum or when it takes place actually in existence, every time there has to be two objects or two bodies. Here I can always say that if it is one body, it will be I1 omega 1 will be equal to I2 omega 2. It is just one body which was initially rotating at angular velocity omega, which was having a moment of inertia I1. After something happened internally, I am not saying that it is rotating and I am giving some external force, then it is not applicable. In all these cases, as you will see, when the collision takes place and the separation takes place, they are all internal. There is no external factor which is helping it to do or aiding it or adding to its momentum. Then the conservation of momentum will not take place, neither in linear nor in angular, right? So here when the changes are taking place, they have to be internal. Okay, so internal means, suppose I am standing over here and a person is standing over here, I pull that person to myself. So initially both the momentums were zero, but when I pull, I suppose I am on a skating board, he is also on a skating board, both of the standing stationary over there, suddenly I pull him towards myself. So what is going to happen? Because of my pull, which is internal to both the body, if I consider both this body as a system, so when I am internally pulling towards myself, so what is happening? I will also gain some velocity, he will also gain some velocity, and then we are going to collide. Or if I push him, just because I have pushed him does not mean that I will always stand where I am. Even I will slightly go back and I will push him away from me, depending upon the ratio of our masses, and using the equation of angular momentum, I can find out what will be the velocities of that person and me, right? But in that case, what has happened? The force was internal. Only then conservation of momentum can be applied. Similarly, even in this particular case, when a wheel is rotating and internally some changes take place because of which the omega changes, right? Then we will say that to maintain the angular momentum, I will also change automatically, right? So if you see the application of conservation of momentum, like suppose there is a mass m1 and there is a mass m2. Now this is an axis where this is r1 and this is r2, right? So they are rotating with an angular velocity omega 1, right? They are rotating. After some time, the angular velocity of this situation, right, changes because these masses have come together. The masses have come together, and the situation would be something like this, that this is having R3 and this is come to a situation of R4, M1 and this is M2. Can you see both of them have come closer? This was M1 and this is M2. Now what I'm trying to say is that now this will be omega 2. What I'm trying to say is that when they have come closer, has M1 or M2 changed? No, masses have not changed when they have come to closer. What has happened? The radius has changed. But now when the radius has changed, the moment of inertia have changed of this system, right? If the moment of inertia has changed, and if I want to follow this relation of conservation of angular momentum, then if one part is changing and if the product has to remain constant, then omega will also have to change, and therefore here the omega will change from omega 1 to omega 2. In the form of equation, how am I going to write this? Here at this stage, this is equal to L1 and this is L2. This was the initial angular momentum, this is the final angular momentum. L1 can be given as moment of inertia of the system. What is the moment of inertia of the system? That will be M1 R1 square plus M2 R2 square. This is the I of this system, and into omega 1. Now here L2 has changed to a new, the angular momentum has changed to a new equation, and that would be M2 R3 square. Let me just rewrite it over here. L2 would change to M2 R3 square plus M1 R4 square whole into omega 2, and L1, because we have this equation that L1 equal to L2, right? So I will have this equation rewritten as can you see this written over here? Okay, so it will be M1 R1 square plus M2 R2 square into omega 1 will be equal to M2 R3 square plus M1 R4 square into omega 2. So this will be the relation of conservation of angular momentum as applied to this particular example. So this is also one example, as you see, that when does this example takes place? Now when the radius has increased, when the radius has decreased in this case, in this particular case, so omega 2 has increased or decreased. Now when I am reducing the radius, the moment of inertia is changing. Moment of inertia is what? mr square. So if the r changes, moment of inertia will reduce, no? So in this case, from this case to this case, what has happened? The radius has changed. So this inertia, that is m2 r3 square plus m1 r4 square, this inertia will be more or this inertia will be more? Definitely inertia here will be more, because r1 is greater than r1 is greater than r4 and r2 is greater than r3. So therefore the inertia of the initial situation will be much more than the inertia of the later situation. So here the inertia has reduced because the radius has reduced. So what will happen to the angular velocity? It will also, no, it will not reduce, because the product has to remain constant, no? I1 into omega 1 has to be equal to I2 into omega 2. So in the second case, I2 has reduced, I2 has reduced. In the second case, what has happened? I2 has reduced, so omega 2 will have to increase because the product has to remain constant. and therefore when in this situation, when the radius reduces, the system will start rotating at a higher angular velocity. It will start rotating with a higher angular velocity because the moment of inertia has decreased, and for the product to remain same, because there has to be conservation of angular momentum. So what will to compensate, what will happen? Omega will increase and the system will start rotating at a higher speed. You can see this example, right, in which if I have some dumbbell, you know, dumbbell that is which you use in the gym, right? If I stand on a rotating wheel and if someone gives me a rotational motion, right, gives me some angular velocity, then he goes away because external force cannot be applied. Initially he is just giving me an impulse and I start rotating, right? I will be having some angular velocity, correct? Now if I just keep those dumbbells closer to my axis, that means I change the radius r, I will start spinning at a higher velocity. Again I bring it outside, I will start spinning at a lower velocity. Again I bring them inside, I will start spinning at a higher velocity, right? So I will show you a video after this. You can see those 2-3 videos how the conservation of angular momentum takes place. The same concept unknowingly is utilized by the ballet dancers, right? When the ballet dancers, when they spread their hands, you know, the angular velocity reduces, and as they close their hands together, then the spin increases. Same thing happens with swimmers who dive. So initially, you know, they curl, right? They curl, and so the rotational angular velocity increases, and when they open up in the last moment, their spin angular velocity reduces. That is the opposite of that. So in both the cases, as the moment of inertia changes, the angular velocity changes. Of course, please understand, you may be swimmers or you may be ballet dancers. Don't try to apply this physics. This is for analysis of what you are doing. You cannot try to understand that this is the radius I am changing, so now I will come to that speed. Nobody can do all that calculations. So it will not be applied for or it will not change your dancing or your diving just by knowing this concept, because it is just an judgmental thing of how you have to move your body and your action to achieve that desired effect. Okay, but we as physicists, we keep on analyzing and we keep on understanding that why this is happening, because in this particular case, this is the changes that are taking place. Okay, fine. So these are these situations where this is a body which is moving in a rotational motion, which is causing something has changed in between and the radius has changed. So therefore the inertia has changed. In fact, the inertia has reduced the moment of inertia, and which has resulted an increase in angular velocity. So this is a situation, one situation about in which I have explained to you the conservation of angular momentum. There is a second example which I am showing to you, where you will understand how that angular conservation of angular momentum takes place when two objects are involved. Okay, so yeah, so now here you can see the second situation which I have created for showing you the conservation of angular momentum. So this is a shaft on which there is a disc whose mass is m1 and radius r is already rotating at angular velocity omega. Now this disc is a stationary disc, it is not having any velocity. It is made, while it is rotating, I am just pushing it inside, it goes and it sticks to this, and then both of them start moving with an angular velocity omega 2, correct? Now here in this case, what has happened, we can write the equation of angular velocity, that initial angular momentum will be I1 omega 1 plus angular momentum of this is going to be 0, which will be the final angular momentum, that is going to be I2 into omega 2. Okay, so this is another example of how you can have conservation of angular momentum. So here what will be I1, in this case I1 will be equal to 1/2 m1 r square, and here what will be I2 will be equal to, it will be twice, no, because there are two discs now are together. Two discs are together. So what is going to happen when the two discs are together now? And if the radius is r, so it is going to be, mass is going to be m2, that is 1/2 m2 into r square. The total moment of inertia of a disk, as I have said, it is only been extended along the axis. The moment of inertia or the equation does not change. Therefore, I am using it as 1/2 m2 r square. But m2 has changed now. It has become twice m1. So it is going to be equal to 1/2 twice m1 r square, which is going to be equal to m1 r square. So using this equation, I am going to have this equation, that is I1, that is 1/2 m1 r square into omega 1, and this is going to be m1 r square into omega 2. Okay, so from here you will come to know that m1 r1 square and m1 r1 square will get cancelled, and omega 1 you will get ultimately is that omega 1 is equal to twice omega 2. So omega 1 is equal to twice omega 2, or omega 2 is half the angular velocity of omega 1. From here, this is how you can calculate the values of angular velocity. So these are the type of problems. It can come in the form of problems. So you should know how the angular velocity is to be used in this kind of situations. Okay, so we had seen these two types of angular momentum, and please watch those videos which I have uploaded after this, and you will get a feel of the conservation of angular momentum and the concept of gyroscope or percussions, or how the angular momentum is conserved, and in the real life how the application takes place, right? Okay.